Hello and welcome to episode 41 of the We Were Athletes Once podcast. My name is Kyle and I am joined by Koty.
What's up, everybody?
And Koty, the biggest part, I would say, of the MLB offseason just happened, the MLB Winter Meetings. And every year, the Winter Meetings, there are big deals happening, big signings, big trades. And this year was no different. And we also have the Rule 5 draft and the MLB draft lottery to talk about. So a lot of stuff. Like I said, we have quite a few signings, some big signings. Uh, I guess, what are your quick thoughts on what we're going to be talking about today?
I don't want to spoil too much, but I think the big question for me after the winter meetings is what do the Mets do next? How do they recover? Um, I think it's going to be interesting. I think we're going to see the starting pitching market start to heat up. I think we're going to start seeing the trade market explode. So, I think the next few days to few weeks before the new year, we're going to see a lot of stuff happening. But my biggest question is how and can the Mets recover?
Yeah, and obviously a lot happened that the Mets are involved with, and so we're going to get into that too, regarding where the Mets pivot after these signings.
Pivot.
So we're going to start with these free agent signings, and we're kind of just going to go in order from the signings that happened since the last time we uploaded. So there's going to be, some smaller signings, and then, like I said, there are some big names on here. The first one is going to be a little bit of a smaller signing. Arizona Diamondbacks signed Michael Soroka. It's a 1 year deal worth $7.5 million. There's $2 million worth of incentives involved in that deal, so it could be worth up to 9.5. Cody, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, he was a pickup from the Cubs at the deadline, one that neither of us really liked because the Cubs needed a starter, and we knew Michael Soroka wasn't the answer. Um, but there, as we always say, there's no bad 1 year deals. So can he figure some stuff out? Can he bounce back some? We'll see. He's going to get opportunities in Arizona that he probably wouldn't get in other places because they do need some pitching. So I don't hate it. I think they need to replace um, Zach Gallen and oh my gosh, Merrill Kelly. I know they traded him away at the end of last season, but those are two big arms that have eaten a lot of innings for them over the last few years. So I think they need to do more than this, but it's not a bad start.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a Diamondbacks team that missed the playoffs last year. I believe they were 81 and 81. So they were fairly close, but they did end up missing the playoffs. Uh, and they're kind of trying to. It seems like they're kind of trying to look for a little bit of a rebound. I don't think they're necessarily going to be rebuilding, but I do kind of view this as a little bit of a retooling because there's a lot of rumors about them trading Ketel Marte. We always kind of considered them in the market for Pete Alonso, but it seems like they're going to be filling their holes with some smaller moves, I guess. And I think this is one of those smaller moves. If you look at how Michael Soroka did last year, he struck out over a batter an inning, but he only pitched about 90 innings, and he had ERA of up around 4.5. This is a guy you can slot into your rotation. This is a guy you can slot into your bullpen. But I definitely think Soroka is the kind of guy that will kind of be a complementary piece to what they do end up doing. And I think their big pitching fixes are going to be, again, through the trade market, because I do think they're going to end up trading Ketel Marte. I do think they're going
Yeah.
to shed a bunch of payroll with that. And from everything we've heard, it seems like pitching is going to be what they get back. There's rumors of him going to the Mariners. There's rumors of him going to. You sent me something before we got on about him potentially going to the Rays for a deal that would
Baz
bring
and
back,
Pepio.
yeah, Shane Baz and Ryan Pepio. Um, so this is a fine move for the Diamondbacks. I really hope they're not done. And again, I don't think they will be done. I don't know where Soroka is necessarily going to fit in. I would
Right
assume
now, it's the rotation.
yeah, I'd assume the rotation, but I mean he has a lot of experience in the bullpen too, so he can really be either.
Yeah, I think this is one of the small several moves they're going to make. Um, I think Paul Goldschmidt's coming home. I could see this if Paul Goldschmidt does go back to Arizona. I could see this as a surprise landing spot for Nolan Arenado because of how good of friends they are. Um, if the Cardinals are willing to eat, I could see him wanting to go play there. Uh, Arizona's beautiful. I love going there. The dry heat is a-okay with me being here in the humid Midwest. And they play in an indoor stadium that is it was weird going there and it being cold in the middle of the summer in Arizona. I don't know if I like that, but it's a nice place. Um, so I think it could be an interesting piece if they're trying to kind of stay relevant, but make that big move to retool on the fly as well.
Yeah. So, like I said, this one we're kind of going to be, or this episode we're kind of going to be jumping around between big moves and small moves because we're just going in order. And the next one is, you could argue, the biggest or one of the biggest names that were on the market this year. There were obviously a lot of rumblings about, you know, this guy going to the Pirates. There was a lot of rumblings about this guy going to the Reds, going, you know, you always have the rumblings of this guy could end up leaving where they came from. But at the end of the day, Kyle Schwarber, he decided to go back home, signed a 5-year deal worth $150 million with the Philadelphia Phillies. And, obviously in our last episode, I did gift him to the Cincinnati Reds. I thought that would be a really fun piece with him being from Ohio, uh, and the moves that it seems like the Reds need to make over this off season, trying to make their offense better. But it always kind of felt like he was going to go home. He
That's why
feels
I
like a
had him
Philadelphia,
stay.
yeah, he feels like a Philadelphia Philly through and through, and this is about the contract that I expect him to get.
Yeah, I like it. He is getting older. I believe he'll be 38 when this contract ends. Um, but he's a guy that hasn't been slowing down, and we're talking about at DH. Um, you don't got to worry about his legs not being under him in the field. You don't have to worry about the athleticism there. He's there to hit bombs, and the Schwar bombs are staying in Philadelphia, and that's what they want. And on top of it, he's a great clubhouse guy. They love him in Philly. He's one of those leaders in that clubhouse. So I think this is something they had to get done.
Yeah, and this is their offense. This is the guy that their
Yes.
offense was really working around last year. Obviously, there are a lot of great pieces in this Phillies lineup, but Kyle Schwarber is a full-time DH, and he was second in the MVP voting last year. He had 240, 365, 563 slash line, 928 OPS, 150 OPS plus, and obviously the big thing that you think about with him, hit 56 home runs, drove in 132 RBIs, and something that people don't necessarily talk about as much with him, he did play 162 games last year. So this is a guy that is going to bring basically everything in terms of the Phillies' power, and he is reliable that he's going to be in the lineup every day.
Yeah, I mean, he just finished second in the MVP voting. Like, you know what you're getting out of Kyle Schwarber. You're getting a good clubhouse guy that is going to produce, and he's going to be there day in and day out.
Yeah, and I guess the big thing with Kyle Schwarber signing with the Phillies that we need to think about is, obviously this is something the Phillies had to do because if they didn't, they were going to be significantly worse than they were this year. But again, it's kind of with Michael Soroka, you can't imagine this is all the Phillies are going to do.
I don't know.
So what I mean, do you see the Phillies pivoting to making another move, or and if you do, what do you think it is that they need to do?
Um, I don't know. They seem to want to upgrade over Alec Boehm at third. Um, so maybe they haven't really been tied to any of the big guys. They haven't really been tied to Bregman or Eugenio Suarez. Maybe this is a Akamoto place. Maybe this is that type of guy where they're like, yeah, he can play third. Maybe he's a first. Um, but I think they want to upgrade at third, but they need an outfielder. I don't know what they're going to do. Like, I don't know why they haven't brought back Harrison Bader. He was the perfect player for them. He can play any outfield spot, and he can do it at an elite level. And his hitting has come around. He's got some pop. He's super fast. Um, I thought he was the perfect fit for them last offseason when they traded for him at the deadline, and it doesn't make sense why they're not trying to go get him. I don't think they're going to open up the bank for a Cody Bellinger or Kyle Tucker, but I think somebody like Harrison Bader would fit really well there.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think they're going to do anything huge. Um, I think after giving Kyle Schwarber $30 million a year, uh, I think we both predicted the Phillies to go out and get one of those big third basemen. Um, I I think I know I switched Bo Bichette and Alex Bregman at one point, but I gave them one of them. I don't think that's going to happen now, but
Mm-mm.
uh, you know,
I never thought it was.
I didn't
I
really.
thought Akamoto at most.
But again, I tried to be
I know
fun
what you
in
did.
that episode, but yeah, I'm looking at the free agents right now, and between the guys that just got that had already signed, uh, obviously Trent Grisham is on this list because he was a free agent, but he took the
Took the
qualifying offer from the
qualifying
Yankees.
offer.
Cedric Mullins is off the board.
Yep.
Uh, you know, Mike Yastrzemski is off the board, who we're going to get into later. Really, the only option left is Harrison Bader, unless
Unless
you
they trade.
unless you trade or you feel like there's going to be a resurgence from like a JJ Bleday and you want to sign him. But yeah, it's they need outfield, and I honestly don't even think that is really it because you also kind of want to look at the pitching market. I think if you're the Phillies because
Yeah.
they're and that's not necessarily something you would expect from the Phillies with them having such a great rotation from what they had last year, but they're losing Ranger Suarez. You don't know what you're going to get from Zach Wheeler
Mm-mm.
through all that injury. Uh, they still have Aaron Nola. They still have Jesus Luzardo. They still have Christopher Sanchez. Maybe you think this might be the year that you can get a step forward from Andrew Painter,
You hope.
but you traded Mick Abel when you got Johan Duran. So
Yeah.
that's another big thing that, or a big name that you probably wish you could be relying on that you're not going to have. Uh, I don't really know who else they would be
There's
trying to.
no MLB ready pitchers in their system unless they think Andrew Painter's ready. And whether he is or not, he isn't. They might have to make him ready. Um, so I do think we might see a mid tier pitcher here. I don't think it's going to be big money. I don't think they're going to be in on those top guys. Um, Maybe this is a Zach Eflin or one of those type of guys, or maybe they want the upside and they want a Dustin May or a Lucas Giolito or someone like that. I'm not going to say the person I want the Cardinals to get, so I'm just going to leave it alone. Um, I like Tyler Malley a lot. I like Tyler Malley and I like Dustin May. Those are my two for the Cardinals. Um, but I see them more in that mid-tier market, and in hopes that those big guys return to what they should be, and um, and maybe they want to leave that fifth spot open for Andrew Painter.
Yeah, and I would also like to see them add to their back end of the bullpen too, because they have Johan Duran, but they were expecting last year, like I don't know, last year the back end of the bullpen still felt like it needed some work. Um, obviously they have Orion Kerkering, but he's kind of been his,
No, don't say that. He had a couple rough things in the postseason. Orion Kerkering is going to be a stud.
he
He
is.
was lights out until a couple, like one or two issues in the postseason, and it was really just a dumb mistake of him throwing the ball away.
Yeah, no, he is. I love Orion Kerkering, but I kind of feel like maybe even not even the back end of the bullpen, but I feel like they need some work somewhere
No,
in.
they need some depth back there for
Yeah.
sure. But I think they have their eighth and ninth inning guys. It's everything the sixth, seventh guys. A couple of those might be decent for them.
I'm surprised you said that, knowing that one of your kids could be watching this video.
Oh my gosh. I didn't even realize it. Thanks. I will 100% in class in the next few days. Once one of the kids watches it, I will hear about it.
Cody's a teacher, so he's been.
I'm a seventh grade science teacher, and my kids like to repeat the dumbest things ever.
Um, on that note, let's go ahead and move on to the next signing. Another big signing. This one is one that I did have predicted.
Yep.
Obviously, with everything that the Dodgers do great, one thing that they did need to improve on was the back end of the bullpen. Last year, all of their bullpen pitchers were starters in the playoffs, and I do imagine you're still going to see a lot of that next year in the playoffs. Uh, but they solidified the back end of the bullpen. They signed Edwin Diaz. It was a 3-year deal for $69 million. There were reports that the Mets offer was 3 for 66, and he just took the extra million a year to go to the Dodgers.
I
Um,
mean, he wants to win.
yeah, he wants to win, and the Dodgers kind of made a move fair, like I would say similar to this, but obviously Edwin Diaz is a much more consistent, much better reliever compared to Tanner Scott. And Tanner Scott was awful last year.
Yeah.
If you can have Edwin Diaz be the closer for this team and Tanner Scott have a little bit of a bounce back, then this is a move that makes the Dodgers even more dangerous than they already were.
For sure. And it also lets you move Roki Sasaki back to the rotation. Um, and on that note, there has been some rumblings that Tyler Glasnow's name may be floating out there right now.
Yeah, I've seen that, whether it's for allowing their starters to be able to have more innings available to them, or maybe it's a little bit of a cap relief
I've heard
situation.
it could be part of a Tarek Skubal deal if they can get an extension in place with him.
Yeah, I've heard rumblings about that. I don't necessarily know how
I
true it
don't
is.
like that.
And MLB insider Robert Murray has said that those rumors are false, but
Good.
you
Because
never.
if I'm giving up Tarek Skubal, you better believe I want Emmett Sheehan, I want River Ryan. I'm going for all the younger pitchers with control. I want all of them.
Yeah, and you never really know, like, with those rumors, like what is true and what isn't true. So it could still be true, but I would
Yeah.
imagine it isn't like Tyler Glass now is the main piece of that young.
No, 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 no. And that's not what I think it is. It would be more of a, hey, we need a guy that can help us still compete this year on top of the other pieces that we're getting.
Yeah, I think it would be one of those guys like an Emmett Sheehan or a River Ryan, with one or two more
Yeah.
prospects. and Tyler.
Depending on what they want. Like, do you want Dalton rushing? Like, you probably don't want a catcher there. Um, Maybe like a Zaire Hope or something like that, an outfield prospect. Maybe they want something up the middle. I don't know what they want, but I think it would be you're going to get at least two pitchers um, and at least one or two position players as well. Like, it's going to be massive if an extension is in place.
Yeah. And I don't even like the idea of the Tigers trading Tarek Skubal at all. I think
Just start the lockout now. If that trade happens, just start the lockout.
well, I
Because
think
they're going to defer $400 million into the future, and it's going to ruin baseball even more. Here you go, Dodgers fans. Come at me, same as you do every time. I don't freaking care. It's ruining baseball. I don't care what anyone says.
yeah, and I think the best move honestly for the Tigers is wait and see what that lockout brings, you know? If there's a salary cap, Tarek Skubal is not going to get a $400 million
No.
deal. Now, it will probably piss him off a little bit, and that might ruin your chances even more of getting him. Um, I think you either pay him now or you see what
You wait till the deadline.
leads to.
If you're really going to trade him, wait till the deadline to see if you kind of have a better idea at the end of the season of what's going to happen. Maybe you know at the deadline, hey, lockout's happening. We don't like what that's going to look like here. We're going to trade him to the Dodgers then and get some pieces back. Now, it won't be as good, but it'll still be a lot. Like, I'm not going to understate, like, oh, you waited till the deadline, so you only get a playoff push. He's still going to get you high-level prospects.
Well, I believe Tarek Skubal still has what 2 more years left of
Of
club
our-
control.
I would have to look. I don't know off the top of my head.
2 or 3 years. I'm seeing reports right now that those rumors seem to be real of the Tarek Skubal the Dodgers trade as I'm looking right now. But again, you never really know. I'm seeing a report saying that Tarek Skubal trade is likely.
Yeah, I saw that too.
I don't like it, but
I hate everything about it.
going back to this trade or back to this deal, Edwin Diaz is exactly what the Dodgers needed. They can go out and do other things if they want. That is just throwing money around. Again, if they really want to, but this is the one thing that the Dodgers truly needed. And if they go out and sign Kyle Tucker or they go out and sign Bo Bichette or something like that alongside this, it'll literally just be them doing it for the sake of doing it. So we'll see what that leads. Here we have another I'd say smaller signing, but still a very reliable back end of the bullpen piece. A guy that was great at the deadline, got a pretty decent return for the Baltimore Orioles. As Cody's fumbling with his new mic.
Yeah, it fell.
By the way, if you guys notice that Cody's audio and video quality is a little bit better, he
Got to step up my game a little bit.
Yeah, he got a new camera, a new microphone. I'm also getting those that are on the way. We're trying to do what we can to upgrade.
In the new year, we've got new stuff. We got a whole different something happening that you'll find out about.
Yeah, I'm excited for that, and I know Cody is too.
Yes.
But yeah, going back to this deal, Gregory Soto signed a 1-year deal with the Pirates. Ended up being for $7.75 million. The Pirates, you don't really think of pitching whenever you think of what the Pirates need. But the Pirates are in a weird spot to where they're trying to start spending money, I think. The reports are that they offered a deal somewhere along the lines of 4 years for $120 million to Kyle Schwarber, which I don't think
Crazy money for them.
Yeah, I don't think that ever would have really got it done because I think a fifth year is what needed to happen, and I do think they needed to heavily outbid the Phillies to get that done. But I think this is showing the Pirates between that offer and this, and the fact that they're at least in the rumor mill for like Eugenio Suarez and Ketel Marte and even the lower end pieces like Brendan Donovan, or like the
Whoa,
price
whoa, whoa.
lower price pieces like Brendan Donovan.
Money wise,
Yeah.
it's going to
Um
cost in player value.
yeah. I think this is showing that the Pirates are actually at least considering going for it. They did finish last in the NL Central last year, so I do think it's going to take a lot. But with that pitching rotation that they have, with all those young pitchers, especially, I mean, good on the Pirates.
Yeah, my only problem is for both them and the Reds, which we're not going to talk about. They both made pretty decent size offers to Kyle Schwarber, and then reports as soon as they didn't get him were we're not going to spend on anyone else big money. And I was like, come on, like
I saw that with the Reds. I didn't see that with the Pirates.
they both said it, and I was like,
Really?
that's like if you're willing to spend 150 on a DH, please spend a decent amount on a couple of the mid tier
Go
guys.
spend 150 on Cody Bellinger then.
Yeah, exactly. Like he can play outfield, he can play first. You can move him around. It gives you some versatility.
Go give
Go sign a Harrison
350.
Bader.
Go
Go
give
sign a
350
Eugenio Suarez. Like go get one of those guys. Bregman's market is a lot quieter than we thought it was going to be. I mean, than he thought it was going to be. I didn't think he was getting more than 2 by 40. Like that was stupid to walk away from. But you know, Scott Boras is Scott Boras, so
I don't think he was expecting to get 40 a year. I think he was expecting to just get a longer term deal that would give him more security. But yeah, when it comes to the Pirates, like I said, they have a lot more holes than ideal from someone that is actually going for it. And again, it comes from them not only not developing uh, position players, but also not signing position players. They've been great at developing pitchers, but they haven't been able to develop or acquire any sort of bat. Their biggest offensive like addition last year was going out and getting Spencer Horwitz, who spent most of the year hurt last year and also was never really going to be a guy that is going to be a middle of the order bat. I don't know why they thought that was this great move. I think Spencer Horwitz could be a fine hitter, but I don't think he's going to be even a fine hitter for MLB first baseman standards.
no.
So I would have liked to see them pivot a into a one of these bigger guys, or at least one of these middle tier guys. Um, there's reports that Andrew McCutchen is considering retirement instead of re-signing with them because he wants them to prove that he's going to win if they go there, or that they're going to win if they go there. And I just don't really see that happening. Right now, I honestly might still even consider the Pirates last in this division.
Um, I don't see that, but I do think they need to pivot. Um, I couldn't help it. You said it too many times. They, we've said it with them and with the Reds. Like if they just go out and get a couple of bats, their pitching is so deep. Um, I'm interested because they are a team that doesn't like to spend money. I'm interested to see if either team is willing to pay the in division tax to go get a Brendan Donovan? Because he doesn't cost much. But are you willing to pay the pitching prospects? Because they both have them. They have a lot of young, high-end talent that the Cardinals would absolutely want. And you get control of Brendan Donovan, and you get it for cheap, and you get a great clubhouse guy, and you get a good bat, and you can get a leadoff hitter. Like, he checks every box. Are you willing to pay the price, though? And Chaim Bloom has clearly made it abundantly clear. This is what I want. This is what it'll take to get him. You say yes, and he's yours. Ball's in your court. So he's not going to get lowballed, and he's not going to just take anything. Like, he's going to shoot for the moon. So are they willing to pay that? And whether that's a Seth Hernandez, or a Bubba Chandler, or a Jared Jones. Like, I don't know what it looks like. I don't know what Chaim's asking for, but he's going to ask for one of those guys. And maybe even then some.
Yeah. Or if you want someone even more, like, with more big league experience, they were rumored at one point for Ketel Marte. Use some of their pitching to go get.
Because they have enough young pitching that they could go get whoever they want. And Ketel Marte, more expensive than Brendan Donovan, but he's not crazy expensive, like contract-wise.
Yeah, I don't know. I really want these teams that don't spend, that have this this abundance of pitching, to do anything in their power. Like I said in our trade deadline episode way back when, if the Reds would have went out and signed Kyle Schwarber or Pete Alonso, then I think we would have a lot more faith in them. And
I mean, if the Reds would have signed Kyle Schwarber, he would set the record for most home runs. I'm just calling it now. Like, that ballpark and him, he would hit 75.
And, we obviously got a lot of flack for saying that there's going to be a lockout coming.
It's happening.
And it's not even necessarily as, fully because of the Dodgers having this endless amount of money. It's also because it will force these teams like the Pirates and the Reds, who don't spend money, to actually spend money.
It's going to be a floor. There's going to have to be a floor.
Yeah. Even if it's not the Dodgers, then you always know these free agents are going to be signing with the Yankees or the Dodgers or the Red Sox or
the Blue Jays or the Padres, like
the Phillies.
Your top 6-7 teams. Like, gosh, I did it again. Gosh dang it. But there legitimately are 6 to 8 teams. We'll go there. 6 to 8 teams that can spend that kind of money, and that they do consistently. Now, I think part of this lockout, on top of that floor, they've got to do something about deferred money. Like, you can't let the rich just also do that as well. Like, that's just the most unfair advantage that they can have.
And I mean, we can get into that when time comes, but when it comes to these teams like the Pirates and the Reds, if you're telling them they have to spend somewhere in the ballpark of 120 to call it $240 million, then they're still probably going to lean towards the bottom of that spectrum, probably closer to the 120 million range. But I think that might give them a little bit more incentive to be like, oh, well, if we have to be in this range anyway, and we know we're not necessarily going to lose a ton of money, then, contracts might end up getting a little bit cheaper from that, maybe we'll go make a splash every now and again. Maybe we'll go trade for a big player, or we'll go sign a big free agent. I don't know. It's always so irritating to hear the Pirates do what the Pirates kind of have done for a long time and offer a contract that they know isn't going to get accepted, so they can get all their work.
They said, we tried.
We tried.
Welcome to life with John Mozeliak as our GM.
There are a lot of deals that
he tried a lot, and we finished in second a lot.
Yeah.
And then he made stupid deals.
I got reminded about David Price.
Yeah.
days ago, and and then we got Dexter Fowler.
Yep.
um, but yeah, I hope the Pirates end up doing something to address their offense. And we talked about the Reds with them. I hope the Reds do it too. But
I don't, but I do.
if the Cardinals aren't going to win,
They're going to be dead last. It's going to happen.
you might as well see some of these teams that you don't expect normally to see do it. But let's move on to the next one. We just talked a little bit about the Tigers with them potentially trading Tarek Skubal. This is a trade or a signing that, again, the Tigers kind of felt like they needed to do, but yeah, wish it was bigger. They signed Kyle Finnegan, 2-year deal for $19 million, and my big thing with the Pirates with the Tigers is what is the goal here? Like
I don't know.
you just made it to the NLDS 2 years in a row. You had, I believe they went to Game 5 both years, and last year was extra innings in Game 5 with the Mariners. They were very close to making it to the NLCS, making a really deep playoff run, and the farther in the playoffs you go, you never really know what's going to happen. Why are we so adverse to spending money now when they spent money on Javier Baez and
Gross.
yeah, they're spending bad money, but they're not.
I can tell you what happens the deeper you go into the playoffs. You need your bullpen more than anything else. And Kyle Finnegan is just okay. He's not going to lock down games for you. I mean, he was solid at the end of last year, but, he's a soft throwing reliever, and that's not what you want in the playoffs. There's a guy out there that we're going to talk about soon that was still available when this happened. That would be a great closer for them. So I think this is the same thing we talked about before. Detroit's just not willing to go all in my opinion. I think they have some defensive flaws there. And when you look at this team, after this year, you've got Skubal, you've got Casey Mize, and you've got Jack Flaherty all up for free agency. They're going to be there, and what's it going to look like after that? And that's why, to me, as much as I hate it, the Tarek Skubal deal makes sense because they need to recoup pitching prospects.
Yeah, and I will. Sorry, let me make sure. Where did Pete Fairbanks sign? Did he sign somewhere yet?
He has not, who I also like.
Okay, yeah. I thought Pete Fairbanks had signed already, but
No, I'm
yeah,
hoping he comes to St. Louis.
you could go get Robert Suarez. You could go get Pete Fairbanks, even on top of Kyle Finnegan, because Kyle Finnegan was really good last year with the Tigers. He pitched 18 innings last year. He had 23 strikeouts with a 1.5 ERA.
Which is not what he normally was up to that point.
Yeah, and I think that's also one of the things where he was motivated by getting his payday. That's something that you see a lot with, walk years. People play above what they're normally expected to. So, I mean, you got a really good reliever with Kyle Finnegan. Be willing to go spend more.
Listen,
Go
even
Terry-
Kenley Jansen, I would be okay with them going to get on top of this.
And it's not even for me the back end of the bullpen. It's just in general. Go spend money on Bo Bichette or Alex Bregman. Go spend money on.
They're not going to.
Give Tarek Skubal. How old is Tarek Skubal? 27.
Yeah, he's not that old.
Go give Tarek Skubal a 12-year deal for $400 million, and
he's 29. I lied.
29.
He just turned 29.
I mean, he might not even get 400 million too. He might be 350. You know, if
He's going to get a 10-year, $400 million deal. It's coming.
go give him that. I don't even care. Like I don't know what the payroll situation is for the Tigers. Your time to win is right now while you have this guy. And the fact that I hate seeing teams that just made the playoffs subtract from their team. And who is the Tigers, in my opinion, are they the best team in the AL Central? I don't know. The Guardians are close. They did lose the AL Central
Their
last year, but
estimated 2026 payroll is 157.
yeah. So you've got room before you hit the first luxury tax threshold. So that if you
You've got a
give
lot of
$35 million a year to Tarek Skubal, yeah, if you give $35 million a year to Tarek Skubal, you don't even have to go get Bo Bichette or Alex Bregman, but go do something at third base that gets the Tigers fan base excited. I don't know. It just irritates me hearing subtractions from this team, especially the
yeah.
defending two-time Cy Young Award winner. But
Like, is Bregman's not going to go there? They're not going to pay him.
they could if you paid him.
They're not going to, though. Like, I see this as one of the other likelier candidates for Nolan Arenado because they're going to be like, hey, pay this down and we'll give you a okay prospect.
He's not going to want to go there because it's same deal as Houston last year. Houston traded
I agree.
who the
I
freak
agree, but they keep
they
talking about
traded.
how he's more open to it this year.
But they traded. He was the Houston Astros were on Nolan Arenado's trade list last year, and then they traded Kyle Tucker, and he was like, "Oh, maybe I don't want to go there." Do you think he's gonna waive his no trade clause if this team that just made the playoffs trades their best pitcher?
No, if they're trade Tarek Skubal, he's not going there.
It's gonna be
But
the
if they
same,
don't,
and I guarantee you that is what is the biggest holdup with Nolan Arenado accepting a trade to the Tigers, is that he's Tarek Skubal's gonna be gone in a couple weeks.
maybe.
Let's move on because the Tigers are irritating me. Let's go to a team that's irritating me less than they normally do. Um, they made another big free agent signing happened uh, over the winter meetings. It was towards the very end of the winter meeting at this point. Um, there were a lot of questions where Pete Alonso was going to go. You know, was he going to go to the Boston Red Sox? Was he going to go to the New York Yankees? Was he going to end up going back to the New York Mets? And I think this team was always floated around as a team that made sense, but it's a team that never really spends money. Well, Mike Elias decided
Finally did it.
this is the year to start opening up the checkbook.
But not for pitchers.
Not for pitchers yet, but hopefully. With all the young position players on the Baltimore Orioles, they decided to go get a veteran presence. They decided to go get one of the best bats on the free agent market. They got a big, strong guy in the middle of their lineup, and they went out and they signed Pete Alonso. It was a 5-year deal for $155 million. There's $30 million in incentives in this deal, so this deal could be worth as much as $185 million.
I told you someone was going to give him 5 years.
I knew he was going to get 5 years. It was going to be. I thought him and Kyle
You
Schwarber.
said the Mets were going back to him. I didn't think that was going to happen.
I did think. Until someone signed him, I did think he was going to go back to the Mets because I thought the Mets.
Thought that bridge was burned after last offseason.
I thought the Mets were going to be the team most willing to give him that deal.
No.
Because I didn't think the Red Sox were going to do it because Tristan Casas is probably he's not as good of a hitter. I think he might be a better overall player than Pete Alonso. Or at
Pete
least
Alonso's defense has definitely gotten better. For as much as I don't like Pete Alonso, he has become a solid first baseman.
yeah, I'll take that back. He's not a better overall player, but he is a better deal for a player than what you would get for Pete Alonso. I think it overall makes the Red Sox better having Tristan Cassis for cheaper than spending $35 million a year on Pete Alonso.
Yep.
So I didn't think they were going to do it. The Yankees, I didn't really think were necessarily going to go spend this money because I think they're still holding out hope that they're going to get Kyle Tucker. And they've also spent a ton, which Hal Steinbrenner has not been willing to spend quite like
No.
Josh had over
No.
for his run.
My problem with this though is why did you bring back all your first basemen if you were gonna try and go out and do this? Because now you got to trade somebody, in my opinion.
Who do they bring back? That
Didn't they bring out? They matched Mountcastle.
I do believe he's still there.
For no reason. I'm like, you tried to trade him last year, and then you matched his contract for no apparent reason, and then you've also got Kobe Mayo sitting there.
Well, Kobe Mayo is more of a third baseman.
They've been playing him. It seemed like they've been moving him to first because they're gonna put Jordan Westbrook there.
Yeah.
So he's not going to be full time. So it was moving Kobe Mayo to first for Westberg. So where's he going? Are you trading him? Are you trading Mountcastle? Like, what's going on there?
I think it's very possible. I think there's a lot of rumblings that the Orioles might be in on Edward Cabrera, and Kobe Mayo
Yep.
might
could be a piece.
be a big piece going back in that trade. Ryan Mountcastle, I honestly think won't be all that hard to trade, and if you do, I still think you need to upgrade this offense as best you can. I like the move.
I mean, they've got a lot of young, good players, and so this offseason, the biggest thing was we need pitching, and so far, they went and got Helsley, so they're shoring up the back end. But then you go and get Taylor Ward and Pete Alonso. Cool. Who's giving you innings? Because this rotation, I don't know if anyone had over 150 innings that's returning.
Yeah, but also
Like,
next
cool, you get Edward Cabrera, like, that's fine. I'm okay with that. It's a good young pitcher. I'd be good depending on what you're giving up. And then the only other name that I've really heard tied to them is Framber. So if they do one of those two things, okay. But I do like that offense is going to be dangerous.
Yeah, and I think we also need to pay attention to that Kyle Bradish is going to be back next year too.
Kyle Bradish is going to be back next year, which will definitely help. So who am I missing? I'm missing one of their guys.
I'm forgetting who it is too.
Trevor Rogers, Dean Kramer, Kyle Bradish, and then
Trevor Rogers. That's it.
That's who I was forgetting. And then Tyler Wells and Cade Povich. But you would like to upgrade that.
You would, and I still think they will.
And not just because you need to upgrade it, but because 3 or 4 of those guys pitched under 50 innings last year because of injuries.
Yeah, I think they will either go get Cabrera or go get Valdez. If they can go get both, that would be great.
That'd be even better.
I do think they're going to end up getting one, and I think Kyle Bradish coming back works as another move.
How fun is that AL East going to be next year?
Oh, it's going to be ridiculous. I think the Rays might lose 100 games next year.
Which is funny because there was talk of him potentially them getting Ketel Marte and be like, why?
They might try it. There's also reports that they're trying to trade Brandon Lau. So I don't know why you would go get Ketel Marte if you're trading Brandon Lau. It'll open up second base, but
it's the Rays. It's what they do. They trade pieces and they find pieces that they want that fit what they want to do, and
I think Ketel Marte is more expensive too.
he is. I think he's on like a $95 million contract,
Um,
but he's way better.
yeah, but
They're not even close to the same level.
the Rays are a team that I'm fine with them starting to rebuild. Go trade Yandy. Go trade.
I don't know if Yandy's getting them that much.
Doesn't matter at this point. They just got the second overall pick in the draft next year.
Yeah, it's going to be a shortstop.
Go get prospects. Go get money off the books. Go do whatever you got to do. Because
This draft is going to be interesting.
I think right now the AL East is the best division in baseball. Because the Orioles went 75 and 87 last year. I don't think they're going to do that again this year. I think they are going to be, as long as they go get another pitcher, they are going to be competing for the.
Ooh, as we speak, there is a deal that just happened.
Oh, I didn't get the notification.
Would you like me to break it to you real quick?
Yes.
Hold on, I'll put it up on the screen.
Live reaction here from
Live reaction. I think you're going to like it.
Okay.
Kansas City Royals go out and signed a free agent outfielder.
Is it the one that I predicted them to sign?
No,
Oh.
it is not. So, 1-year deal. Kansas City Royals have signed Lane Thomas.
Okay. I think they need more.
They do, but
I
got a right-handed bat, and they needed a right-handed and a left-handed outfield bat, so here's your right-handed bat.
Yeah. I predicted they re-signed Mike Yastrzemski, which that's not going to happen, and I also predicted them to go out and get Harrison Bader. So I think they're probably going to end up doing Lane Thomas and Jarren Duran instead, but
Or
I don't think they're going to get Brendan Donovan.
but they could. And I've heard there's already a deal on the table where they've offered Noah Cameron plus, which is intriguing at least.
Before we get off of Pete Alonso to the Orioles, we talked about it earlier. I do want to talk about what is next for the New York Mets, because right now Mets fans are in shambles. The one guy from Barstool that is a huge Mets fan, I sent you that video.
Oh my gosh, I love him, and it's amazing.
I can't remember. They got Frank, I think the guy's
Frank.
Whatever this guy's name is.
Big old Frank.
After Edwin Diaz went to the Dodgers, he said, and I quote, "The Mets are going to lose 194 games next year." So obviously they not fixed their bullpen, but they made their bullpen move with signing Devin Williams.
I don't like it.
Where do the Mets go from here?
They need outfield. They need first base. I think they need more bullpen. And I think they need a starting pitcher. Like, they need a lot. I think this is where Wilson Contreras ends up. I think it's the perfect spot for him. They need a right-handed power bat in that lineup, and you lost your guy. And Wilson's not going to replace it. He's not going to hit 40 bombs. It's not what he does, but is he going to do 20 to 25? Yeah, he's going to do that. Is he going to hit 120 RBIs? Probably not, but 90 to 100, absolutely doable. But you need a right-handed bat in that lineup, and you need a first baseman, because you can't. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on his name now.
Brett Beatty or Mark Vientos?
Nope. Vientos. You can't put Vientos back at first base. He was not good there last year, and Brett Beatty is your third baseman. They really liked what he did last year, and so I think he's staying there. But this is a team that, honestly, I know I keep coming back to the Cardinals, but they have all the trade pieces. Do you want JoJo Romero? You need bullpen help. Do you want Brendan Donovan? You can use outfield help, and Donnie can play out there. Do you want Wilson Contreras? first baseman? Do you want an actual outfielder that only plays out there? Lars Nootbaar. Like, they have all the pieces outside of a starting pitcher that they could want. Um, but I see them making at least one big free agent signing and one big trade. They have to, because as you can see on the screen, Mr. Met is sad, and this is their entire fan base. But their fan base isn't quite as sad as this. They're more angry and holding pitchforks.
Yeah, I think whenever you think about where the Mets go from here, I do think a trade with the Cardinals will end up happening. I specifically think it will end up being for Wilson Contreras and Jojo Romero because it
Combined. I can see it.
combined. Um, because there's been a lot of movement with where Wilson Contreras, what is going through Wilson Contreras' mind. Because he came in the offseason with absolutely no desire to waive his no trade clause, even knowing what was going to happen with this Cardinals team. He knew Nolan Arenado wasn't going to be here next year. He knew Sonny Gray wasn't going to be here next year, but he wanted to be the veteran leader for this team. Now, in the past 2 weeks, it seemed, I believe, maybe even
Yeah.
less than that, reports have came out that he's willing to waive his no trade clause. Reports have came out that there have been talks with the Cardinals and the Mets about a trade with Wilson Contreras. There have been talks about potential names, even though I don't believe we've heard any. There have been it's got to the point where they've started talking about names.
Jonah Tong?
Probably not.
Jonah Tong, please.
Um, it's gotten to the point to where
Please.
they've started talking about money. And there's talks about Jojo Romero potentially being involved. So I believe with how quickly things seem to be developing with this Wilson Contreras situation, I think Wilson Contreras and Jojo Romero are going to be not necessarily the replacements for Pete Alonso and Edwin Diaz because it's not a replacement, but it will at least be something to supplement that. And I know the Mets are also in on some bigger names. There's reports that they're talking to Alex Bregman. I don't think that's going to happen.
Kyle Tucker?
There's reports about them talking to Kyle Tucker. I think this is
I
more
don't think it's
likely.
happening.
I think this is more likely a landing spot for Cody Bellinger.
Yeah,
Um,
I can see
going,
Belly.
going in the offseason, my predictions for the Mets were going to be they signed Robert Suarez, which Devin Williams is going to be the Robert Suarez in this whole situation. Pete Alonso, which now isn't happening. And I also said they were going to go sign Cody Bellinger and trade for Brendan Donovan. If they're getting both Contreras and Romero, I don't think Brendan Donovan is going to be in the picture there.
Donnie's going to the Mariners. It's gonna
I don't
happen.
know.
Whether Mariner fans like it or not, it's gonna happen.
I forgot about the Royals offering Noah Cameron plus. So
It's either Kansas City or Seattle, in my opinion. Um, I know the Astros really want him. I know San Francisco really wants him, but I just don't see a prospect package that they can offer that's going to beat out either of those teams.
yeah, but again, to bring it back to the Mets and to bring it back to sad times for the Mets,
Wilson Contreras is going to be a Met.
there were also reports at the beginning of the season that I don't know how real they are, but there were reports that Francisco Lindor might be not be there.
Yeah,
So
there's some smoke around him and Juan Soto not getting along.
again, don't know how real those are, but it seems like more bad times might be coming for the Mets, and I don't know how they would fix trading Francisco Lindor.
I mean, I heard potentially, I don't know what pieces would have to go the other way for this to make sense. Um, that they're trying to pry Fernando Tatis Jr. out of San Diego because of the friendship between him and Soto
That's not
and trying to loosen Soto up, but I don't see the Padres giving him up. There would have to be huge pluses.
the Padres have already said he's not available. But
He shouldn't be.
Let's
Also, they need a bat that can protect Juan Soto. Juan Soto already walks a lot, and if you don't have a Pete Alonso type of bat behind him, he's gonna walk even more. Why pitch to him when there's no one to protect him? So they've got to get a good sized bat, whether that's signing Bellinger and trading for Wilson Contreras, like that. That would be good.
yeah. Let's move on from the New York Mets and let's talk about a team that's in their division because they made two deals over the past 24 hours or so. Um, the Braves ended up going out and signing Mike Yastrzemski to a 2-year deal for $23 million, and they also today signed Robert Suarez to a 3-year deal for $45 million. So both of these deals are things that whenever you look at the Braves and what do they need, they both seem like pieces of the puzzle that needed to be there. For Robert Suarez, I was between the Rangers or the Braves to on who I was going to give them in our one Christmas gift for every team episode. I ended up giving him to the Rangers, but again, the Braves need help in the back end of the bullpen, even after signing Raisel Iglesias back. And now they have their eighth inning guy to lead to Iglesias in the ninth.
I don't like that. I think Suarez should be their closer. That's my only issue with it.
I think they're fairly similar.
I mean, they're both two of the top five most saves in the last 2 years. Like, they're both very good. I just, I like Suarez a little bit better.
Yeah, and I mean you can go either way with that. The
And
Braves,
if he struggles, like Suarez will take over in the ninth if there's a struggle with Iglesias.
yeah, the Braves have already said, at least from what you told me, that they're going to do Suarez in the eighth and Iglesias in the ninth. But I think either way, you're fine. Um, but then you also look at their outfield. Their outfield is lacking, I'll say. Uh, Jared Kelnick doesn't seem like he's the answer.
He's a fourth outfielder.
I mean, Jerkson Profar was in how much he played, he was okay. Um, but there's also talks about uh, Marcell Ozuna not being back next year.
Marcelo Zuna of the Braves,
Yeah, Ozuna of the Braves.
but he has to be of the Braves.
He should be of the unemployment.
Prison.
But yeah, they Mike Yastrzemski is a guy that he's a veteran. He seems to be a really good leader in that clubhouse. They, I don't know how at this point how much he's going to give you in terms of defense. He's a little bit older for a guy that's only been in the league for 6 or 7 years. But I think I like the move. I like any team going out and getting Mike Yastrzemski. I think
I can tell you right now, as someone who follows Kansas City as my American League team that grew up there, Royals fans are very upset about this because of how good Mike Yastrzemski was for them when he got traded over there. He was fantastic, and the Royals fans really wanted him back.
yeah, and again I thought the Royals were going to end up re-signing him. So good on the Braves for signing him, and also when you're thinking about defense, they did also bring in Michael Ciani, who is again we're bringing it back to the Cardinals.
Defense only.
He is a defense fourth or fifth outfielder, but I think the Braves are kind of starting to put the pieces together on what a successful Braves team will look like in 2026. Because injuries were really the only thing that got in their way last year. But because Ronald Acuna Jr. got hurt, basically
Their whole pitching staff
got hurt, where they had to bring in guys like Carlos Carrasco and Eric Fetty and Alex Manoah on 1 year deals just to be able to get anyone to cover
Finish the
their ground.
season.
So now they're going into this with hopefully a healthy rotation. They're getting Chris Sale back. They're getting Spencer Strider back. I believe Spencer Schwellenbach was hurt
Spencer
last year.
Schwellenbach will be
He's coming
back.
back. I would like to see them go get one more starter. Maybe a Zach Gallen, but probably someone that's more middle tier. Uh, but I mean, the Braves are a good team. They just didn't play good baseball because their starters were all hurt last year.
Yeah, they were the favorite to win that division, and I think if they're healthy, they will win that division. I mean, you've already got 2/3 of your outfield with Michael Harris Jr. and Ronald Acuna Jr. out there, so you needed that third piece, and whether it's a rotation of, you know,
It'll probably
any of those three guys that you named that aren't Marcelo Zuna, because I don't think he's coming back. Whether it's a rotation of Yastrzemski, Kelnick, or who am I missing?
Jerkson Profar.
Profar. Um, Profar, you probably want his bat more than anything. Same with Yastrzemski, but Kelnick just hasn't been coming along like everyone thought he was going to be.
Well, I imagine it'll probably be either Yastrzemski starting in left field or a platoon, which I think is more likely to be a
More
platoon.
likely a platoon.
Yastrzemski and Profar.
Yeah.
Profar is a switch hitter, so he'll probably play against the lefties. But I like it for the Braves. I don't know if I'm necessarily in the same boat that they're going to win the division next year because, you know, I still think the Mets are very capable, and I do think they're going to have more.
It depends what they do.
And I think the Phillies are still the best team in this division. But I do think the Braves are going to be fighting for a playoff spot next year.
We also just got terms on the Lane Thomas 1 year, 5.25 with a $1 million of incentives. So very small deal, very Kansas City type of deal. They didn't want to go to that, what was it, 11.5 for Yastrzemski is ultimately what I think it came down to.
Yeah, Lane Thomas isn't really, I don't think, a needle mover. He
hits lefties well.
He was fine with the Cardinals for his half a season. He got traded over the Nationals, and he was awesome. And then it seemed like something was missing after he got traded to Cleveland. So, you know, maybe he finds something with Kansas City. But
it's a big outfield.
Yeah. I don't know if his power numbers are necessarily going to be great there, but with big outfields, there's singles and doubles to be had. So
triples.
Yeah, and triples. So maybe that will help him out a little bit. The other signing, talk about Mark Leiter Jr. Not a big signing, but it's the A's doing something. Got a 1 year deal for $3 million. We don't need to talk about this too much, but the A's made a move. They needed to bolster the back end of their bullpen, and they did that.
They need to bolster all of their bullpen and rotation.
Yeah, the issue is they need to do a lot more. They have a lot of young position players, but their pitching leaves a lot to be desired. We both expect them to go out and get one of these ground ball guys, like an Adrian Hauser or a Tyler Mahle, or who did you have them getting?
Zach Eflin.
Or Zach Eflin. There we go. But I think we also both expect them to trade Luis Severino.
I don't think they are now. He's not happy there, and I get it. It's a tiny ballpark where people are hitting nukes out of it left and right. But they've also been reports that said we're not just going to trade him because he's unhappy. Like, we're going to get a return or we're not going to trade him. So I'm less likely to think he's going to get traded because it's not an amazing contract and he did not pitch well last year.
Yeah, but he also, I think his advanced numbers were a little bit better because he's pitching in probably the second worst ballpark to pitch in right now with that.
Outside of the
Yeah,
Small park.
yeah. Oh no, I was gonna say outside Coors Field
Oh,
because
I would say small parks up there.
the air is almost as thin in Sacramento as it is in
Yeah,
Colorado,
that's fair.
and it's a much smaller ballpark. So, uh, wasn't great. Wasn't a great situation. I think it's best for everyone for them to just cut bait and trade them for whatever they can get, whether it's prospects or salary relief or whatever. But
But are they going to spend it if they get salary relief?
no, but
That's the problem. They signed him because they were going to get penalized for not spending enough.
I believe last year they spent enough, so that reset everything.
Yeah, for another like 3 years, which is stupid.
We'll see what that means for that, but Mark Leiter Jr. is an OPAC Vegas athletic. Um, before we get out of here, there are some other things that we need to talk about from the uh, winter meetings festivities. Uh, we had the MLB draft lottery happen. The Chicago White Sox ended up with the first overall pick in the draft. Um, they're, you know, for everyone that doesn't know, baseball and does a draft lottery just like basketball does and just like hockey does, where now you get a higher possibility of having the first overall pick for a worse record, but you don't get the first overall pick outright. There's also a couple rules to where you're not allowed to draft inside the top six if you drafted inside the top six each of the last 2 years. So the Colorado Rockies, who had the worst record in all of baseball last year, were not eligible to have a pick inside the top six. So that I think really hurts them. The Angels and the Nationals also weren't allowed to have a pick inside the top six because of uh, what's it called? Revenue sharing.
Revenue sharing.
So they also weren't allowed to have picks there. So the order that this ended up coming out with was the White Sox, the Rays, the Twins, the Giants, and the Pirates are picks 1 through 5. Um, hold on, can I share my screen? Sorry, I have the thing set up on mine. So here we go. We have the. Did it just change? Can you
Yeah,
see
you're good.
everything? Okay. So we have the White Sox, the Rays, the Twins, the Giants, and the Pirates with picks 1 through 5, followed by 6 through 10 being the Royals, the Orioles, the A's, the Braves, and the Rockies. Picks 11 through 15, the Nationals, the Angels, the Cardinals, the Marlins, and the Diamondbacks. And rounding it out with the Texas Rangers and the Houston Astros before we get to the spots that were already
Playoffs.
set.
Yeah.
Um, Another thing is that because of luxury tax threshold issues, the Mets got penalized 10 spots in their draft order. So they are now, I believe, the 27th
27.
overall pick, which
27.
this doesn't have picks beyond the top 25 on here for some reason.
Hold on. I just had it up.
But I believe the Mets are the only team that got penalized for that. So I believe everyone else have the normal picks from what they're supposed to get.
Well, now I can't find it, but yeah, and there were definitely some winners and losers in this. Obviously, first winner, Chicago White Sox. They're getting the first overall pick. There is a shortstop that is the consensus number 1 overall pick from college, elite tools, probably going first overall. Rock, I can't remember his last name, but ROC Rock, interested in that. But this is a very player-heavy draft, it seems like, at the top. There's not a lot of pitchers at the top of this draft, so it's going to be a little interesting. The Giants, they moved up 10 spots to number 4. The Royals also moved up 10 spots to number 6. And then your bigger losers, the Cardinals dropped 5. The Marlins dropped. Where were they supposed to be? Ninth to 14, so they moved about 5 spots as well. And then the Mets, obviously, being penalized and moving back 10 spots. Kind of the biggest winners and losers of that draft. We are also losers because if the Rays would have won it, we would have got to see an epic airplane celebration. As we were both watching it live.
Brett Phillips was the representative
Yeah.
of the Rays, and he said if they got the number 1 overall pick, then he was going to do the same airplane celebration that he did after the walk-off in the 2020 World Series.
Would have been epic.
But yeah, obviously we're going to break down the draft a lot more the closer we get to it, but there's still a whole college season and a whole high school season that needs to be played.
A lot's going to change.
Maybe we'll talk about what the draft might look like later on in the offseason, but we're getting pretty deep into this episode, so we'll spare you of that right now. But yeah, I think the MLB draft lottery leads to a lot more intrigue, I guess, because you losing doesn't automatically give you the number 1 overall pick anymore.
I love it.
And it gives you something like that. Like you said, we were both watching it live to be able to something else to get excited about, because the draft isn't as much of a spectacle as it is in other sports, and I think good on baseball for trying to make it that way.
Yeah, and it's even more important these days with how teams value prospects. Being able to get up in a higher pick in the draft is something that's huge. So it has become something that's much more important, that people care a little bit more about than they have in the past.
Yeah, and it's still rough because with other sports, like with basketball or with football, or even to an extent with hockey, there's still like minor leagues and stuff, but even to an extent with hockey, whenever you draft someone, you get to see them right away. In baseball, for the most part, you don't really get to. You're starting to see a lot more of these guys come up to the big leagues a lot quicker.
You get very few NHL players, very, very few.
The top tier guys.
Maybe the top 1 or 2 you'll see within a year or 2.
Yeah,
maybe.
But you don't really see that. Again, you're starting to see it more with baseball.
No, not really, since
the Paul Skeens, Nick Kurtz,
Skeens and Kurtz, whatever. But like
Daniel was drafted,
yeah,
called up in the same year.
Well, like Bryce Harper was the last one that was like pick and they're there. Like that doesn't happen.
And even then, it was 2 years with him.
And it seems super fast.
Yeah,
I guess Paul Skeens was probably the quickest.
Yeah, Nolan. Like I said, Nolan Chaniel was 40 some odd days. Zach Neto was...
Whoever gets drafted by the Angels will be up instantly because that's what they do because they're idiots.
Yeah, Zach Neto was, he got drafted in June and then made his big league debut the next April. Even with guys like Chase Silseth, who was like their 11th round pick and then made their big league roster on opening day the next year.
Insane.
And then the last thing to talk about is the Rule 5 draft. So
go ahead and talk about that.
The Rule 5 draft, again, if someone is not on their 40-man roster or is not on a team's 40-man roster, then they are eligible for, or after a certain amount of time. I believe it's 4 years for college guys, or if you join an organization after the age of 18, and 5 years if you are 18 or younger when you join an organization. If you get drafted, you must spend the entire season on your new team's big league roster the entire year, or you automatically get sent back to your original team.
I think there's a fee that goes with it.
I think it's like $50,000 or $100,000 or something like that.
I think it's only like $50K, which in the scheme of baseball is nothing.
But there's, this is the list of guys. There are a lot of guys that generally not a lot of people know about. We didn't do a whole lot of research into who a lot of these guys are. But there are a few guys that are notable names. One guy that I did a lot of research in was RJ Pettit, who was the number one overall pick. This guy's 6'8", 300 pounds,
He's a beast.
a big old reliever, and now he's going to the Rockies. And he has a
Good luck.
yeah, he's going to the Rockies now. He also has a great mustache.
Oh yeah,
I
I'm
told
all
Cody-
for him.
I told Cody I hope he end up. I was hoping he was falling to the Cardinals. End up not, but also there's some former top prospects that never really panned out. We talked about the Phillies' pitching depth. They just lost Griff McGarry from getting drafted by the Nationals. Daniel Susac, who was a top prospect or a top draft pick in 2022, I believe, he got drafted by the Twins in this draft and then immediately got traded to the San Francisco Giants. So he's going to be on the Giants next year. Um, Interesting little piece about this is if you're not on the 40-man roster for a team, even if you have big league experience, you can still get drafted. And former Cardinals reliever Roddery Munoz, he got drafted by the Houston Astros, so good on him. I believe he's the only guy that got drafted this year that has big league experience. Uh, but this is a little something, I guess, else extra to talk about because these are going to be guys that you see, and a lot of these, there's not, I guess, not necessarily a lot of these guys, but some of these guys do pan out. Um, you know, bring it back to the Cardinals one more time. Ryan Fernandez in 2024 was a big piece of the back end of that bullpen, and he was a Rule 5 pick from the Boston Red Sox. Uh, and I'm sure there are a lot. I know there are a lot of other examples that I'm blanking on right now. I know Bobby Abreu was a Rule 5 pick.
Let me give you a few here.
Yeah,
You're gonna like these. Johan Santana,
yeah.
Dan Ugla, Fernando Vina, Willie Taveras, Shane Victorino, Jay Gibbons, Scott Pasednik, even Josh Hamilton at one point, Joaquim Soria. So there's definitely players that stick. Now there's few and far between that are excellent players, but a lot of times these guys are, can I get a young guy that might have some upside potential that I can stash maybe in my bullpen this off season or this season, and then once I've had them for the full year, now I can send them down if they need that seasoning. But it's a lot of stashing players in bullpens is typically what you see.
Yeah, and again, that's why a lot of the guys you see from the Rule 5 pick or the Rule 5 draft are pitchers because you can stash them in your bullpen. You can't really do that with position players. I believe I think there were 13 picks in this draft. Only two of them were position players, and they're both catchers.
Yeah, you can stash a backup catcher too,
I mean,
or a
it's
third
hard.
catcher.
It's hard unless you
I
want.
mean, you can do a third catcher.
Yeah. I know Blake Sable was a Rule 5 pick by the Giants a couple years ago, and he actually turned out to be a pretty good player for them in the year that he was there. But I don't think we've heard much from him since then.
No.
I think he's with the Red Sox now. Uh, but yeah, we talked about a lot of stuff that's happening, exciting in the baseball world, and we're going to continue to do that. Uh, the winter meetings again are the biggest part of the off season, but there's a lot of other. There's a long time before spring training starts and before the season starts. There's still a lot of free agents out there, a lot of trades that need to be made, and whenever a big deal happens, you will end up hearing our response to it. And then again, there are going to be times where the off season gets slow. We have content lined up for that too. Big things coming from this channel. A lot of fun things for us. Hopefully, a lot of fun things for you guys. And kind of like we mentioned, there's a lot of changes that are going to be coming up to hopefully make this thing better. So thank you guys for watching. Please be sure to, if you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please be sure to, download it, give us a 5-star review, do all that stuff. If you're watching on YouTube, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Turn on the notification bell so you know when we're uploading content. If you guys have been watching our channel and you've noticed over the past few episodes, we are starting to also put in shorter little clips from our episodes to give you guys a little bit more content, or if you can't afford, or if you can't, don't have the time necessarily to afford to watch the whole episode, to give you little snippets of the best
Of the
parts.
good stuff.
Yeah, so hopefully,
Let us know if also my video quality and sound was better this week, because we're hoping it helps some.
yes, and I do also have that stuff coming.
It'll be here Sunday.
Let me know if my stuff is still better than Cody's, and that way I won't have to worry about uploading. I do think his might be a little bit better right now, but so yeah, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys next time.
See ya.